like they're a good team and they're well, put together. But as we've been seeing, going up 20 in the past, great teams are putting this game away. None of these teams that are left are great teams. Anything can happen. I would say.
Even OKC?
Yeah, I think they were a great team on paper. Like as far as like their system, as far as like being really good on defense, right?
Numbers.
Like that's great about them. But when we talk about great teams, we talking about like the Golden State Warriors, we talking about the Boston Celtics, like we talking about teams like that, right? Like that's been proven, that's lost, that's been back to that mountaintop. But I just always feel like the Knicks still have a chance, and they're 6-1 on the road. I have to keep going back to that. Like they're 6 on the road. They know how to win on the road. Yes, it may be ugly, and yes, they may have to go down 20 first to wake up, but they have a great chance of winning the series still.
You think the Pacers blow this?
I don't. I actually think the Pacers are going to win this series. Obviously, they were winning the entire game last game. They were winning the entire game until that fall off in the fourth quarter when Cat had to be miraculous and basically carry the team. I don't. But to piggyback off the great teams, I don't think there are any great teams left. I think that the numbers will show something different because of the era of basketball we in. OKC is a great defensive team, but when you look on the East, there is no way that guys are up 20 at home and losing. That teams are up 20. Great teams don't do that. So with that being said, even though I do like the Indiana Pacers, anybody could win this series.
Stephen A., do you believe the Pacers are going to blow this? And then I want to get your thoughts also on the sentiment that there's no great teams left.
Well, listen, I picked the Knicks to win this series in 7 games. A lot of people were getting on me because they thought that the Knicks would take Indiana out in 5 or 6. I knew Indiana was a better team than people were giving them credit for. They don't have anybody that you can say definitively is great, but they have a lot of really, really, really good players. Nembhard and Nesmith and these brothers can play. Tyrese Halliburton is not overrated. This brother can play. Miles Turner can play. And Rick Carlisle is exceptionally well coached. And T.J. McConnell, the little engine that could. That's what I call him. I knew him from his days in Philadelphia. I love the kid. He's got a lot of guts. He's not scared of the moment. He shows up and he gives you what he can. So they have a plethora of players that show up and get the job done. And they can shoot the basketball. And so when you look at it from that standpoint and you see how limited the Knicks have appeared to be because of Tibbs' refusal to utilize a rotation. And then you couple that with Rick Carlisle and his championship pedigree, knowing how to use an abundance of parts, having 11 different guys that have averaged at least 15 minutes a game this past regular season. You just say to yourself, yo, they can beat the Knicks. But again, if you're the Knicks, because of how tough you can be defensively, because of Jalen Brunson, because of Karl Anthony Towns averaging over 30 against them during the regular season on better than 50% shooting, you do look at the Knicks and say, you had them game 1. You were up 17 with 6 minutes left, up 14 with 2:50 left, up 9 with 52 seconds left. You lost that game. It should be 2-1. Knicks right now instead of the other way around. So I have no reason to believe that the Knicks can't win this series. I just know they got to play better than they have, particularly in fourth quarters of 2 of the 3 games.
Yeah.
Knicks in 7, baby. Knicks in 7.
Knicks in 7? What's your prediction?
Indy
I hope you're right.
Indy in 6? All right, we'll leave it on that note. All right, coming up, the Knicks backups bailed.
Stick with the Game 3 starting lineup they went with last night. Is that fact or fiction?
It's fact. Get off to a good start, but also don't mess with a good thing. It worked, even though maybe it didn't work entirely. So you stick with it because you won the game.
Marcus, I didn't feel like you loved it.
Fiction. I didn't love it at all. They got off to a okay start. They were down 20 points in the second quarter. I don't think that is actually a good.
What do you think, Marky? How should they approach this?
I agree with Marcus in this one. I mean, scoring in that series has been at an all-time high. The game slowed down extremely a lot in the second quarter, in the first half, and the Knicks wasn't able to find their footing scoring-wise. So I think it's fiction also.
And Jay Will, I mean, just in general, playing more guys as they did last night, the Knicks did, and part of that was because of foul trouble. They had no choice. Is that something you think we will see more of tomorrow night in Game 4?
I think we have to. I mean, the fact that now this is their 3rd consecutive grueling series, these minutes add up. I think we had a stat the other day in which Joe Bonbon was talking about the starters for the Knicks have played 700 more minutes than any other starters left in the playoffs. So at some point, you need to give them a spell.
Let's go to the next one. Markeith here. If someone were to say Jalen Brunson's defense is going to wind up costing the Knicks this series, is that fact or fiction?
That is a fiction. Obviously, he was in foul trouble a couple games. He just had to tone down on the fouls some. I know the playoffs are extremely physical, but some baskets he has to give up just to be able to be on the floor with his team and win that game.
It is worth pointing out, and Alan, you know this team as well as anybody, Jalen Brunson, no one is questioning his greatness or the greatness of his season. But on the defensive side of the floor, clearly that has become an issue. And then as he has encountered foul trouble, it becomes a bigger issue because he's then guarding against committing the foul.
Right, exactly, and he has to soften up. But I'll tell you what, there was the one call that the Pacers challenged. No, the Knicks challenge. That should have been an offensive charge that they did not overturn. And that was I believe, his fifth foul in that moment. That was ridiculous because that should not have been a foul against Brunson. He took the great at taking charges, but he's got to be a lot smarter, obviously.
J. Will, what do you think?
You know, Greeny, I just don't like if we label him or, I guess we're tossing out there as a subject matter, but like he's not a liability. I mean, the strategy of an opposing team is you attack their best player to get him in foul trouble, right? So it's the volume of possessions that they're attacking him, because if you can take him off the board, that is a critical chess piece for the Knicks to win games. So it's a part of the strategy of the opposing team, but he's not a liability on the court defensively.
All right, Jay, I'll come back to you for the last one here. If I were to say the Knicks are now going to come all the way back and win this series, is that fact or fiction?
I think it's fiction. I think Indiana, even in the margins with the way they played, look, they got 2 on the road at Madison Square Garden. It's going to take another Herculean performance from Jalen Brunson or Karl-Anthony Towns to win Game 4. But once again, Indiana is used to losing Game 3s. Lost Game 3s in the first series against the Bucks. Lost Game 3 in the second series against the Cavs. This is familiar territory for them.
Let's see what ESPN Bet thinks. At D14, we can see the Pacers are the favorites to win the series going into Game 4. They are minus 200. The Knicks are plus 170. Indy is a 2.5-point favorite at home in the game tomorrow night. And the reality is, each one of these 3 games could have gone the other direction in the final minute. These games were all decided in the final minute. Huge lead in Game 1. Indiana comes all the way back and wins. Game 2 was right there to be had at the end. Indiana's got a 10-point lead. The Knicks cut it all the way to 1 at the end and can't get all the way back. And then last night, the Pacers have the huge lead and they come. The Knicks come all the way back and win it. So each of these games is 1 or 2 possessions in either direction. Right now, who do you like? We just put the odds there. I know you're not betting. Let me be clear. You are not betting on anything. But to use the expression, which side do you have your money on?
I like Indiana, right? Because it seems to me that the Knicks are struggling to guard a team that plays with the ball moving as much as they do. They had the home court advantage. If they take care of this home court advantage tomorrow, they are going to win this series. Let's be frank. The Knicks played great basketball last night in that fourth quarter. But you have to put 4 quarters together to be able to win this series. And I think that Indiana will be the first team to be able to close the game out the way they're supposed to close the game out, and they're going to win this series.
Alan, you were just making an observation during the break that I want you to bring up about 20-point comebacks in these playoffs. For anyone who was sitting and watching thinking, my goodness, it feels like there are far more comebacks from these big numbers than there usually are. Well, you're right. What are the numbers?
Yeah, as Tom Thibodeau says, no lead is safe. This is the 6th time now in the playoffs this year a team has made a 20-point comeback to win the game. In the past 4 playoffs, it's only happened 5 times. So there's something weird going on in this year's playoffs, but it just shows you also teams are not waving the white flag. They're fighting all the way to the end.
So what is it? I mean, how do we explain that? What is it specifically about this season that would explain something
one thing I can point out is the age of these players. It's a lot of younger players that's in the finals, that's in the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. They're led by younger superstars. So at times in the game, I think that it's a big stage. Some guys' nerves are there. They're not really battle-tested the way they're supposed to do, and they don't have super veterans. Obviously, you have veterans, but you don't have 30, 32-year-old guys that's actually playing in the games, that's able to stabilize and to close the game at the end of the game.
And one would immediately say, well, there's the value of the three-point shot, right, is that no lead is safe, you can come back. But we've had the three-point shot in the game for each of the years that you're talking about. Yeah. And while their teams are generally shooting more of them now than ever before, it's not by that significant of a number. I like that explanation. Yeah. Maybe sometimes the younger teams don't do as good a job of hanging on to those leads.
Right, and we have to do a better job of identifying there are no great teams
right now. There are no great
super teams.
OKC is not a great team?
No, they're not a great team. They had a great offseason and the reason, a great regular season end. The reason why I'm saying this is because if you look at the past landscape of basketball, right, we have never seen 40-point blowouts in the Western or the Eastern Conference. Like, we've never seen these.
There hasn't been one good game in that series yet.
It hasn't. So that's why I give Minnesota a chance. That's why I give New York a chance, because these aren't great teams. These aren't the Warriors we're talking about that if it's up 3-1, you're closing this out. These aren't those teams that we're accustomed to seeing, right? So you have to give these guys a chance. Being up, like the Knicks came back 20 twice.
Yeah.
And like 3 times.
Three times now.
In these playoffs,
actually now, and it's like
on the road.
Exactly. 6-1 on the road.
That's the one
unheard of. 6-1 on the road, and you have to give them that credit, because now if they get tomorrow, we're having a different conversation, right? Like they're just
momentum
teams
swing
that can close out right now. So everything's up in the air.
It's the momentum swing.
Exactly.
And we're seeing it in these games is the momentum swing of it. And I think it's, look at the three-point shot you mentioned. 5 for 25 the Pacers were. They could not make it. And some of them were open looks, good looks. They just weren't making them. The Knicks are trying to take the three-point line away.